What's it like to have no partner or children at 30? So mortifying, my father stated while my entire family snickered. Then I retorted, how is it that I'm the individual funding you at 48? Also, starting tomorrow, you'll be settling your own accounts. Can you believe there's a moment when you realize your own family sees you not as a son or a brother, but as a walking ATM? And then, they have the nerve to call your life an embarrassment, while they're literally living off of you. That's the punch to the gut that finally woke me up. So, yeah, my name's Dean. I'm 30 years old, and I own this little gas station off Route 17. You know the one, the sign's got a flickering O in open, and, honestly, I just never get around to fixing it. There's always something more urgent, always a new fire to put out. A card reader dies, the roof leaks over pump 3, or some regular needs a jump start at 2 in the morning. People, they think a gas station just runs itself. It doesn't. I'm the one mopping floors, stocking shelves, balancing the books, unclogging toilets, and yeah, always smiling. That's my everyday. In my family, I've always been the background guy. Not the golden child, definitely not the family disaster, just the quiet one who shows up, keeps the lights on, and somehow, always ends up covering the bill when it mysteriously lands on my lap. My dad would call me practical. Mom would say, dependable. But what they really meant, I now know, was useful. And let me tell you, there's a massive difference between those two words, and that difference? It costs you everything. I grew up in a rental, behind the hardware store, where the windows literally rattled every time a truck passed by. My sister, Mia, she's 2 years younger, and she was always the son of the family, if you know what I mean. She's a hairdresser, obsessed with social media, and somehow manages to get 4 birthdays a year, full-on cake, candles, all the attention. If Mia needed a deposit for some fancy new salon chair, we all rallied. But if I, after a brutal 12-hour shift, just wanted a day off, suddenly I was lazy. That was our normal. At the station, I actually love that quiet right before dawn. The coffee's fresh, the air is cold and clean. I count the money in the drawer, check the cameras, listen to the low hum of the coolers. It feels like anything's possible then. Pure potential. And then, my phone starts buzzing and the spell breaks. Dad, swing by tonight. Family dinner. No details. It was never an invitation, really. More like a mandatory roll call. And I went. Always. Because ignoring it just made the next dinner infinitely worse. Family dinner meant my parents' house, a narrow, cluttered place with a TV that was always blasting too loud, and a dining table that perpetually felt sticky at the edges. Mia would sweep in late, her laugh big enough to fill the whole damn room. Dad would already be 2 beers deep, telling the same worn-out story about that one time he almost bought a franchise. I'd bring a pie that no one ever touched. I'd sit. I'd listen. I'd nod. And then, in some lull in the conversation, Mom would aim those old questions at me, almost in a stage whisper, like she was warning me about myself. Still single, Dean? Still at the gas station? I'd just shrug. Yeah, Mom. It pays the bills. Dad would snort, whooze, and grin at his own pathetic joke. We'd move through the courses, through all these little cuts. Mia would drone on about some new balayage technique like she'd personally invented hair. Dad would laugh too loudly, always glancing at me to make sure I knew I was supposed to laugh too. I was good at it, you know? Taking the hit, letting it pass. I learned that early. Don't make it a thing, Dean. After dessert, Dad leaned back, hands on his stomach, and looked at me like I was a TV channel he was bored of. He went for the line, casual and sharp. How does it feel to have no wife and no kids at 30? How embarrassing, he delivered, with a smirk. The room chuckled. Not a big, roaring laugh, just an easy, knowing ripple. The kind of laugh that says, we all know the script. We all know your role. I stared at my untouched slice of pie, feeling my jaw lock tight. I swallowed, and something old, something heavy and sharp, moved in my chest. But I didn't blow up. I didn't storm out. I filed it away like I always did. Only this time, the drawer wouldn't quite close. I forced a smile, without teeth. Good pie, I said, and stood up to clear the plates. That was my cue. That was my part. But inside, a new voice whispered, cold and clear, this is going to change soon. I never planned on owning a gas station, you know? It started when I was 19, doing graveyard shifts at a 24/7 place off the highway. Just a job, to keep me moving after Dad's hours got cut and we needed help with rent. I learned the rhythm fast. Truckers at 3 a.m., high schoolers buying energy drinks like they were medicine, the occasional tweaker trying to trade a car jack for cash. You keep your head down. You keep your hands visible. You keep receipts. After a few years, the owner wanted out. I knew the numbers better than he did. So I bought the place with a small business loan and a handshake deal on the inventory. The day I got the keys, I actually cried in the office bathroom. Not from happiness, but because I was utterly terrified. That station took everything. I fixed what I could, patched what I couldn't. I learned to order fuel like a gambler, betting on what I believed about next Tuesday's prices. When credit card fees went up, my profit margins just blinked out like bad neon. When the summer storms rolled in, I was on the roof with a tarp, thunder crawling across the sky. But I kept it alive. I made payroll. I paid suppliers. And when Dad's truck needed a new transmission or Mia's salon chair deposit bounced, I paid that too. Just till Friday, they'd say. Friday in my family was a very long word. Mia was the golden one. I told you that. She never asked to be, not directly, but she never ever said no to it either. At gatherings, Mom would brag about her entrepreneurial spirit. When Mia showed up late, we waited to eat. When I showed up early, I was told to set the table. That's what favoritism looks like from the cheap seats. It's not confetti and spotlights. It's 100 small pivots that always turn away from you. Money talk in our house came wrapped in family needs. Dad's go-to line, we stick together. The translation was always, Dean pays first. When I got the station, he started showing up with ideas. Partnership, he'd say, tracing the word in the air like it was a logo. I can help run the books. I told him the books were fine. They weren't, not really, but they were mine. He didn't like that answer. Said I was ungrateful. I said I was busy. We were both right and both wrong. Then there was Mia's tax debt. She just forgot to file for 2 years. And when the letter came, she looked at me with eyes like a kicked dog. They'll garnish, she whimpered, as if the IRS was some mean teacher and I was her hall pass. I paid the minimum to stop the bleed. I'll pay you back, Deanie, she said, sweet and fast. 3 months later, she posted new mirrors for her salon, glowing. No mention of me. My parents kept a scoreboard, you see, one you couldn't actually see. Every ride, every bag of groceries they bought me when I was 18, it was all still on it. We did a lot for you, Mom would say, softly, like a pillow over my mouth, whenever I hesitated to cover a bill. She wasn't wrong. They did what they could. But in our house, help was a loan with no paperwork and heavy interest. It got worse last winter. Dad hurt his back at work. He was out for a month. He didn't tell me until his landlord called me directly. You're the contact on the file, the landlord said. I didn't even know I was a contact on anything. They're 3 weeks behind, he added. I covered it. I couldn't stand the thought of my mom packing boxes in the rain. I told myself it was a one-time thing. It never is. Every time I asked for space, I was dramatic. Every time I said no, I was petty. At Mia's birthday, when I asked Dad to please stop calling me depressing in front of the cousins, he just said I couldn't take a joke. When I brought a bottle of decent whiskey and nobody opened it, I felt 16 again, holding a perfect report card while everyone cooed over Mia's new nails. It sounds small written out, but small things stack. At the station, the pressure turned into numbers. Delayed deliveries because I pushed a supplier too long. An NSF fee because a surprise autopay hit the account the same day Mia borrowed $600 for product. A chargeback from some guy who claimed he didn't buy $80 in diesel, even though I watched him do it. On a Tuesday, my card processor threatened to raise my rate if my dispute ratio didn't improve. On a Thursday, my dad texted, your mother's phone bill. Fix it. No, please. No context. Just fix it. I stared at that text until the screen dimmed. I started keeping count because feelings felt too slippery. In 90 days, my family called me 102 times. 86 of those were about money. 14 were about a ride, a pickup, a couch to nap on after a fight. 12 were how are you? And only 3 of those 12 actually waited for the answer. Then came the ultimate gut punch. I walked into Sunday dinner one night and there, right on the table, was an actual notepad. Labeled, get this, Dean's contributions. It had columns, percentages, like I was some grant proposal they were reviewing. My dad had scrawled it out in block letters. Rent 40%, utilities 35%, family phone plan 100%. You use it too, he added smugly. Mia's business loan 25%, just temporary, ... And at the bottom, in big, bold letters, emergency fund, family. I read it. Then I read it again, slowly, as if the words would change. My blood ran cold. What is this? I finally managed to ask, looking up at their expectant faces. Dad just shrugged, so casually, like it was nothing. We're organizing, he said. You want to be taken seriously? Be serious. My voice, when it came out, sounded so defensive, even to my own ears. I own a business. I am serious. He just scoffed. Then act like it. You've been blessed. Share the blessing. Mia sat there, watching me, chin tilted up like she was on a damn reality show. It's not a big deal, Deanie, she chimed in dismissively. You make good money. I actually laughed. It came out like a strangled cough. Do I? I asked, utterly bewildered. Dad scoffed again. You're always at that station. Don't tell me you're broke. But that was the real kicker, wasn't it? I wasn't broke. I was compressed. There's a world of difference between not having money and not being allowed to keep a single dime of what you earn. I went home that night with that awful list burning a hole in my pocket and a throbbing behind my eyes. The real explosion happened 3 weeks later, at a barbecue that was supposed to be just family. The grill was going, all the cousins were there, music too loud for the tiny yard. Mia's new boyfriend was there too, and he had an opinion about absolutely everything. He even called my gas station cute. I just smiled and poured him a soda. I was counting the hits, letting them pass, just like always. Then my dad, bless his heart, found his favorite audience, the cousins. He loved to play this game, comparing me to everyone else. Look at your cousin Rob, he announced, pointing with his beer, wife, 2 kids, mortgage, real life. And Dean. He paused for dramatic effect. Still just playing shopkeep. My blood ran cold. Dad, I warned, my voice tight. He just waved me off. I'm making a point. About me. I shot back, or about you? He smirked, taking a big gulp of beer. Then he delivered his favorite line, the punchline he'd been saving. How does it feel to have no wife and no kids at 30? How embarrassing. The whole damn table laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was easier. They knew the script. I just stood there, clutching the ketchup bottle like a weird prop. But something inside me, it just leveled out. Not a fiery rage, not icy despair, just this sudden, crystal clear clarity. I slowly set the ketchup down, wiped my hands on a napkin, and stepped closer. I didn't need to raise my voice. Do you want to do this for real, Dad? I asked, my voice steady, dangerously calm. He rolled his eyes. Oh, here we go. You want to talk embarrassment? I pushed on, holding his gaze. How does it feel to be 48 and have your son pay for everything? The laughter died. Just like that. Someone pulled the plug. Dad's face went from confusion to a furious red in an instant. Watch your mouth, he snarled. I pay your rent, I continued, listing every single thing, each word a stone hitting him. Your phone. Your truck insurance. I paid the late fee on your electricity last month. I paid Mom's bill the month before that. I paid Mia's taxes. And guess what? I paid for the food we're eating right now. The charcoal. The paper plates. Even the stupid little flags on the cupcakes. My voice dropped, deadly quiet. Embarrassing, Dad, is having a son and treating him like an ATM. Mom stiffened. Mia blinked, looking utterly vacant, like a doll. Someone actually turned the music down. The yard shrunk in around us until all I could hear was the frantic thump of my own heart. Dad stood up, puffing out his chest, trying to make it about dominance. You don't talk to me like that in my house. It's the landlord's house, I countered, watching the words land, and he calls me first. Dean. Mom pleaded, a desperate whisper. I took a slow, deep breath. This isn't about revenge, I told them, my voice firm. This is about closure. For a second, everyone was a statue. Then the noise came back, all at once. Are you serious? Mia snapped. What about my business? You promised. I didn't, I said, cutting her off. You heard the word help and translated it to forever. That's on you. Dad pointed at me like he could poke a hole right through me. We're family. Family helps family. I agree, I shot back. Family helps. Not exploits. There's a line and you trampled it. You think you're better than us, he spit, venom in his voice. I think I'm tired, I said, quiet now. I think I'm done buying respect with rent receipts. Mom tried a new angle, softer this time. Dean, be reasonable. You know your father's back. He can apply for assistance, I cut in. He can talk to his landlord himself. He can downsize, budget, sell the truck he can't afford. He can stop handing out my hours like party favors. You ungrateful little, Dad started, and I held up my hand. Stopping him cold. No more names, I said, my voice like steel. Here's what happens next. I'll cover what I've already committed to through the end of this month. After that, I'm out. No loans. No, just this once. No, we'll pay you Friday. If you text me about money, I won't respond. If you show up at my station, I'll call the police. If you want to talk about something that isn't a bill, I'm here. If not, good luck. Deanie, Mia said, her voice small for the very first time. Please. They'll cut my account. I'll lose clients. You could have paid the IRS before you bought that ring light, I told her. Choices. Dad stepped closer, his jaw flexing. You think you're a man because you sell gas? I think I'm a man because I learned to stand up, I said, meeting his gaze. And because I'm not going to fund my own disrespect anymore. He opened his mouth to argue, but I just shook my head once. I'm going home, I said. I hope you all figure it out. But I'm not your plan anymore. Nobody moved to stop me. I walked out, my keys clutched like a talisman, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. In the driveway, I leaned against my truck and just looked at the sky. It was one of those evenings where the clouds look like stacked plates, heavy and silent. I waited for the guilt to crash over me. It didn't. What came instead was silence. I didn't recognize it at first. It was mine. And I stuck to it. The next morning, my phone lit up like a slot machine in a movie. Buzz after buzz, banner after banner. I turned it face down on the counter and brewed my coffee. I took my time. I sliced a banana, the way my grandmother used to, into perfect little coins lined up. I ate standing up in my kitchen, like a person who belongs in his own life. Then I picked up the phone. 27 missed calls. 52 messages. 3 voicemails from Dad that went from angry to desperate to angry again. A long text from Mom, full of words like disappointed and hurting us, with a short one at the end. Your father is humiliated. Mia's were fast bursts. They froze my account. They're charging fees. Deanie, answer. And a photo of a notice, like it was a newborn. I didn't answer. I walked into the station and did the opening myself, even though I had an employee scheduled. I needed the ritual. Lights. Unlock. Count. The ding of the door when I flipped the sign to open felt like church. Before noon, Mom showed up. She didn't buy anything. She just stood in front of the counter, her hands clasped, looking like she was praying at me. Dean, she said, quiet. We can't do this. You mean I can't? I asked, keeping my voice even. But I can. And I'm going to. We raised you, she said, like a spell. We did everything for you. You did what you could, I replied, and I've done what I could. It's time for everybody to do what they can for themselves. She looked around the station, as if it might agree with her. You always wanted to be the hero. I always wanted to be treated like a person, I corrected her. There's a difference. She left without buying the water she was holding. I watched her toss it into the passenger seat of Dad's truck and slam the door like the water had personally offended her. In the afternoon, Dad called from a number I didn't recognize. You blocked me, he shouted when I picked up. I filtered you, I said calmly. If it's an emergency, call 911. It is an emergency, he snapped. They're shutting off the electricity. You got a shut-off notice last month, I reminded him. I paid it. You said you'd set up a plan. Did you? He hung up. 10 minutes later, he texted a photo of the notice, and then another of his face, red and furious, like proof of the injury I'd caused. I set the phone down. I wrote on a sticky note, everything is a crisis when you refuse to plan. I stuck it to the register where I could see it. The first week was pure noise. By day 2, my aunts weighed in. By day 3, a cousin I hadn't seen in years sent me a paragraph about honoring your parents. By day 4, Dad tried a new tactic. He showed up with a church friend who ran some financial ministry and wanted to pray over my wallet. I told them to leave. They didn't. I called the police. The officer knew my dad. That made it worse and better. He told them to go. He told me to document. I already had. The second week was quiet, but in a different way. The calls slowed. The texts got shorter. Wow, Mia wrote one night. I didn't think you'd actually do it. I didn't answer. I scrolled through the messages sometimes, like photos of a storm I'd survived. I noticed the pattern, how it shifted from anger to guilt to bargaining to silence. Silence is the last stage. People think it's acceptance. Sometimes it's just exhaustion. At home, I did small things I'd been putting off. I replaced the shower head that sputtered. I donated a box of clothes I kept just in case. I bought a cheap rug that made the living room feel less temporary. I started running again early, before the town woke up, because I liked the sound of my feet on empty streets. It felt like building something, even when I wasn't at the station. On a Tuesday, I got a group text from Mom, titled Family Emergency Meeting. It had a location, a time, and a list: budget, responsibilities, expectations, Dean. I read it twice. I replied with one line: I won't be there. Dad responded with 3 words: you will be. I didn't go. They held it without me, and posted a photo later, like it was a cookout. I stared at the image, the table, the notebooks, Mia's boyfriend with a serious face, and felt a clean sadness. They were meeting about me again, like I was a problem to solve instead of a person to listen to. I went for a drive and ended up in the empty lot behind the station, where the trucks park at night. I turned off the engine and just sat. The sky was a hard blue. I counted the slats in the fence until my thoughts quieted. The 3rd week, consequences arrived. Dad's truck disappeared from the driveway. Voluntary surrender, he told someone on speaker before he realized I'd answered. The lights went out at their house for a day. Mia's salon announced temporary closures for renovations, which was just code for no cash flow. Mom called to tell me the family phone plan would be canceled unless someone paid. I said they should cancel it. She gasped like I'd proposed murder. How will we talk? She asked, her voice cracking. You can call me, I said. When you're ready to talk about something other than money. She hung up. An hour later, she sent a photo of a candle at dinner, because the power was out, but we're making the best of it. There was a smiley face. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. In the middle of all that, something strange happened at the station. Customers noticed I was lighter. I didn't tell them anything, but I guess you can hear when a voice is carrying less. A regular named Mr. Patel asked if I'd finally hired help. I said, not yet. He said he had a nephew who needed work. I interviewed the nephew the next day. Good kid, honest eyes. I hired him for evenings, and for the first time in months, I went home before midnight. On Friday, I got a single text from Dad. I applied for assistance. They said it'll take time. They asked for documents. Don't know where they are. I could read the humility he didn't know how to show. I typed and deleted 3 replies. Finally, I wrote, ask the caseworker for a checklist. Ask them to repeat anything you don't understand. Bring a notebook. Write it down. You can do this. He didn't respond. That was okay. The point wasn't applause. The point was capacity. The missed calls and unread messages became a kind of symbol. I didn't delete them. I let them sit, like proof of a line drawn in permanent marker. Some nights, I scrolled to the beginning, to the barbecue, to the jokes, to the laugh that wasn't a laugh at all. I didn't brood. I observed. I drank water. I slept. On Sunday, I skipped dinner on purpose. I made pasta at home and ate it on the floor, because my new rug made the floor feel like a couch. My phone buzzed once, a photo of the table, without me, and then it didn't. The silence on the other side felt like a room I could finally enter. I'm not going to lie and say everything is fixed. It isn't. Dad still thinks respect should come with fear. Mom still talks in circles when she wants something. Mia still posts boss babe quotes and forgets to pay taxes. They're still themselves, and honestly, I think they always will be. The difference is, I finally let that be true without paying for it. What changed in me isn't anger. It's boundaries. I say no without a speech. I say yes when it's clean. If Dad asks for advice, I give it. If he asks for money, I don't. If Mia wants me to co-sign anything, I won't. If Mom starts the "we did everything for you" script, I end the call. Not with cruelty, with practice. This isn't about revenge. I told Dad that night, and it still isn't. It's about closure. And closure? It's kind of boring from the outside. It's receipts in a folder, a calendar reminder to reconcile on Thursdays, a list on the fridge that says sleep, water, laundry, run. It's making a sandwich and eating it slowly. It's understanding that family is not a password that unlocks your bank account. It's recognizing that love without respect is just need, wearing your face. A week ago, Dad texted a photo of a rental sign in front of a smaller place. Might apply, he wrote. No exclamation points, no guilt, just a thing he was doing. I told him the application fee was sometimes negotiable. He said, okay. That was it. It felt bigger than it looked. The simple truth, the one I finally understand, is this: you don't owe anyone your own destruction. You can absolutely love people, deeply even, and still refuse to finance the disrespect they serve you with a smile. I'm still Dean. Still the gas station owner, still with the early mornings and coffee that's way too strong. But the difference now? I'm not a background character, paying to make their scene happen. No. I'm in it. I'm speaking. And when someone tries to cut me down with a laugh, I don't pick up their plates anymore. I pick up my keys. I go home. And I build a life that actually fits me. So, I'm curious. Have you ever felt like you were stuck playing a role, constantly paying for other people's expectations? What would you have done in my shoes? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your thoughts.